Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Campus Keys. I am your host, Ellie, and today's episode is pretty much just going to be an introduction to what this podcast is going to look like, as well as kind of why I wanted to start a podcast like this, and yeah, pretty much just a little introduction episode. So, Campus Keys is going to essentially give tips, tricks, hacks, and just insight as to what the classic college experience might look like for students, specifically at Central Michigan University, just because that's where I'm currently a junior at, but we'll get to that later. And a lot of things that I'm going to be sharing are going to be things that apply to any and all students across the U.S. So this podcast is basically just going to be me yapping about what I've learned through, I'm currently a second year at CMU, junior by credits, and I have a year and a half left. And so basically this podcast is just going to be talking about what I've learned, talking about everything from the types of Celsius that I like, and potentially doing a compare and contrast, to talking about Greek life, talking about breaks, talking about burnout, talking about how to save money, jobs to make money, a little bit of everything. I feel like CMU, even though it's a pretty smaller school in definitely a smaller town, I've gotten a good grasp on what being a college student's really like. And I don't know, I feel like I wish I had a podcast like this that could help give a little insight, and I wish that going into my freshman year I would have had a lot of the information that I've learned specifically throughout the last year. So this podcast, like I said, it's going to be focused mainly on my experience as a student at Central Michigan University, but it's going to be applicable to every other school in the U.S., and I feel like I have the potential to branch out to other locations such as MSU, U of M, schools in Michigan, schools outside of Michigan, talking about literally just anything and everything under the sun. Little bit about me. I am a second year, like I said, junior at CMU. I'm studying not journalism anymore. I was a journalism major. I'm now a public relations major with a minor in sports communication. End goal for me is social media management. So doing something like this is kind of right up my alley, and I feel like this will just be a really good way to, like I said, kind of share what I've learned, because I certainly don't know everything, and I'm definitely continuing to learn and grow as a student, as a person, everything, but I also feel like I've learned a lot, and I don't know, I feel like a good little yap session never hurt anyone, and episodes are going to be pretty short, pretty sweet, and hopefully help someone else. So, as you can tell, a lot of this stuff for this podcast is still kind of up in the air. I'm going to be learning and growing as I produce episodes, but some things you can look forward to. I'm going to do a study crawl focused in Mount Pleasant. I would love to do affordable meal hacks, such as a kid's order from Chipotle, and just going through that and all the different possibilities. Like I said, energy drink review. Love a good energy drink, and I feel like there's so much, they're kind of taboo, but at the same time, if you're a college student, you use them and live off of them. So kind of just comparing, contrasting, informing yourself. And I would also love to do an episode about Greek life. I recently got involved in Greek life, and I feel like that, again, there's so many misconceptions that I feel like would be great to go over, and as someone who used to be totally opposed to joining a sorority and now loves their sorority, I just feel like it would be a really productive episode for people like me, specifically girls like me. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for this episode. Pretty short and sweet. You can definitely look forward to hearing from me in the future. Like I said, I've already got so many ideas planned out, and I hope you tune in soon.